Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am Shady. You're in the zone. Um, I wish I could say this was a good morning, but it is not. As most of you know, yesterday, Governor Jared Polis signed SB 25-003 into law here in the state of Colorado. And I will get to that here in a few minutes. But first of all, I want to say a huge thank you to all the new subscribers out there, and there are a lot of you. And I realize that, excuse me, I realize that a lot of you have subscribed to the channel because of the devotional shorts and things like that. And I hope I don't disappoint you in a live, because this is the first live stream we've had in a while. But I just want to say, you guys have been a blessing to me over the past few months, and may God bless each and every one of you. I appreciate every one of you. Now, like I was saying, I really wish that things had turned out just a little bit differently with SB 25-003. For those of you who do not know, that thanks to Governor Polis signing this into law yesterday, that now Colorado will have one of the most, if not the most, restrictive gun laws on the books in this country. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail right at the moment on the bill, because it's been all over the internet. I've been doing videos on it for a couple of months now, and I'm sure there's some of you out there that are actually tired of it. Good morning, Loretta. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. I'm not going to go into a lot of details on it right now. I will say this. I was a little bit taken back that Polis actually signed this into law. I was thinking that, I had the hope that he would actually listen to the thousands of people in this state who have opposed this bill. I was really hoping that he would listen to the numerous counties and sheriff's departments that stated that they would not support this bill, that they were totally against this bill. But just like the legislature, while this was going through all the Senate and the House hearings, just like the senators and representatives, he completely ignored the will of the people and signed off on it. Now, I had, in the back of my mind, crazy me, I had hopes, or I'd had the hope, that the governor, who had promised that he would never sign off on any bill that would ban any kind of automatic semi-automatic weapons here in the state of Colorado. I had hoped that the governor, who had said that he was not going to cost this state any more money, would veto this bill. That, in the back of my mind, I actually held out that hope. Just because of the overwhelming amount of people, of sheriff's departments, of county governments who were in strict, total opposition of this whole unconstitutional anti-Second Amendment bill. I had held out the hope that he might veto it. But I will say this. By signing this bill yesterday, Jared Polis, you have committed political suicide. Any hope that you have or have had to become president died yesterday. Now, you can think about that and you can think what you want to of it, but that is what it was. I mean, Polis completely, like I said, ignored the will of the people, just like the legislature did. I watched a lot of these hearings as this thing progressed through the Senate and the House. And I saw these representatives, after hundreds of people stood in front of them and testified against this bill. I watched these proceedings, and I watched the way these people acted. I watched Tom Sullivan. I watched the rest of them. I don't remember the lady's name, but there was a representative. I believe it was one of the House hearings. There was a lady who, after the testimonies were over with, and there had been, I don't know, roughly an hour and a half of people testifying against or for this bill. And after that, there was just person after person after person, almost 6 hours worth of testimonies of people that were against the bill. And this lady sit there, and I don't remember her name, I'm sorry. This lady sat there and belittled the people who had testified. She literally mocked them. And then they lied, especially about the FOI card. They lied and said that it was constitutional, where the Supreme Court has shot it down in another state. So here we sit, Friday, April the 11th. This bill will go into law in August the 1st of 2026. So we've got roughly a year and 3 months or so, and we are prepared. This fight isn't over, not by a long shot. We're not done. Okay. These people sit up here when Polis, and he's doing his little thing as he signs the bill, and Sullivan's sitting there all with his smug smile on his face, and they think that they have won, and they are not correct. Now I want to go into a little bit, if I can find it here, a little bit of a statement that they actually made. There it is. I'm going to read through this, y'all, and we'll chat here in a few minutes. But before we do that, hey, Yankee, how are you doing? Libtards along I-25 are out of their minds by pushing this. The lack of common sense these people have is mind-boggling. I completely agree with you, Yankee. These people have lost any kind of common sense that they might have ever had to even think that this bill is going to do what they're claiming it's going to do. Of course, they don't believe it, but they put up this real nice show about it. So let me get into this just a little bit, y'all. This is from the Colorado House Democrats. This is their legal achievements. April the 10th, 2025, SB 25-003 signed into law. Today, Governor Jared Polis signed into law SB 25-003, sponsored by Senators Tom Sullivan of Centennial, Julie Gonzalez of Denver, Speaker pro tempore, or temporary, or whatever it is, Andy Bosnecker, we'll just call him Bone Sucker, of Fort Collins, and Representative Meg Froelich of Inglewood. Beginning on August the 1st, 2026, SB 25-003 implements and enforces Colorado's existing law. Doesn't say what law, but they're talking about the magazine capacity ban that they passed about 10 years ago, requiring a permit and a firearms safety training to purchase high-powered firearms that accept detachable magazines. This bill also prohibits the purchase and sale of all rapid-fire conversion devices like bump stocks and binary triggers. Now, what they're not saying right here is, yeah, you have to have a permit to get this. To get that permit, you have to go through the sheriff's department. You have to have a thorough background check done on you, which is already being done. You have to have 2 sets of fingerprints done, and then your name is going to be added to a list of people that are wanting to purchase firearms. Their safety training is a 12-hour course. Basically, it's the hunter safety course, but this is a 12-hour course. And, everybody and their brother has 12 hours that they can take off work and upwards to $1,000 to pay for all this. But I digress. Now, Tom Sullivan, otherwise known as Bloomberg and Anytown or Everytown's punk, said this: high capacity magazines are what put the mass into mass shootings. This guy is trying to be cute, which is why over a decade ago, Colorado Democrats passed legislation to prohibit magazines that hold over 15 rounds of ammunition. This legislation is another in the list of policies I have worked on to develop evidence-based solutions and reduce gun violence of all types. The people of Colorado have mandated that we do something about the public health crisis that is gun violence. So that's what we're trying to do. Did anybody else even see all the holes in what he just said? This legislation is another in the list of policies I have worked on to develop. You didn't work on this, Tom. Bloomberg and Everytown wrote this bill and then sold it to you. And the price was they paid you $1 million. You gave them your soul. Evidence-based solutions and reduce gun violence of all types. This bill, for one thing, your evidence-based solutions are nothing more than what Bloomberg has told you. That is your evidence-based solutions. You use skewed facts, you use skewed numbers, you lied, and this will not reduce gun violence in any way. Semi-automatic weapons in high capacity. This is Bo Snecker or Bone Sucker or whatever his name is. Semi-automatic weapons and high capacity magazines have been used far too many times to terrorize Colorado communities. The trauma, grief, and loss due to mass shootings are felt deeply in our communities. And as a former public school teacher and parent of 3 children, I worry daily about the safety of some of the most vulnerable Coloradans. With this legislation becoming law today, we will help save lives and prevent future tragedies in Colorado. No, you stupid, ignorant little man, you. This will not, in no way, will this stop anything. Will this prevent any sort of future tragedies? The guns that they are banning, the firearms that they are banning, most of them were not even used in any of the mass shootings in Colorado. But they have their talking points. They have their little agenda, and they're sticking with it. Gonzalez, who, in case you don't know, is out of Denver, and I swear to God, the woman is stoned every time she gets up and speaks in front of the Senate. Gun violence continues to have devastating effects on Colorado communities, and we must do more to protect lives. Get this, the firearm industry's profits come time and again at the expense of public safety, and something has to change. Senate Bill 3 is about holding firearm manufacturers to account, ending the industry's profit motivation, and enforcing the law we have had on the books for more than a decade. I am honored to join Senator Sullivan on this legislation and his work to reduce gun violence in Colorado. Ms. Gonzalez has spoken the underlying truth of what this bill is all about, a part of what this bill is all about, and that is ending the gun industry's profit motivation. This is This is just one lie, one scam on top of another, y'all. Um, it's pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic. And I watched some of these hearings and watching these people get up and speak. It was mind blowing. Some of the things that they were saying. Um, this is Floater, whatever her name is, semi-automatic weapons paired with high-capacity magazines result in a much greater loss of innocent lives, which is why we must fully enforce Colorado Democrats' decade-old law barring high-capacity magazines. Coloradans deserve to grocery shop, to go to school, and worship without worrying about being a victim of the next mass shooting. Excuse me. This gun violence this gun violence prevention law requires that all firearm purchasers complete a rigorous and expensive safety training course to acquire a permit to purchase the most deadly weapons on the market to ensure that they are not a danger to themselves or communities. And there's one other thing that I wanted to read off of this, and it's pretty much over with, but the next paragraph, SB 25-003, allows a person, it allows you, it allows you to practice your Second Amendment rights. Don't forget that. Your overlords in the state are going to allow you to purchase a semi automatic firearm with a detachable magazine after undergoing a background check and completing a firearm certification course. Get this, y'all. That includes information on gun use, safe gun usage, federal and state firearms laws, and this is the frosting on top of the cake. De-escalation and crisis intervention strategies. De-escalation and crisis intervention strategies. There is a guy that walks into your business, pulls a gun, and is threatening to shoot your clerk, or has shot one of your clerks, or has shot one of your customers, but they want you to do de escalation and crisis intervention. No, no, you stop the shooter before he shoots somebody else. Range time and more. Guys, look, I've got to admit, I am so disgusted right now that I don't even have the words to express what I'm feeling right now. Uh, Good morning, God. Yes, honey bunny, God help us. Good morning to you, dear. When I heard this yesterday, when I got wind of it, I was pretty much in shock. And honestly, I don't know why I was in shock because folks, between you and me and the internet, I expected this to happen. I didn't expect him to just sign off on the bill. I expected him to let it sit on his desk and just go into law itself because the legislature's in session, and he, instead of the 30 days of the legislature had not been in session, he had 10 days to let it sit on his desk before it went into law. I figured that would be the way he would go with this, so he could stand up and say later on when he's trying to run for president, I figured he would be able to say, well, I never signed a gun ban bill. I never did anything like that. But no, uh, the guy actually signed the bill. And Jared, I'm going to tell you something right now. And I think I've already said this, but I want you to listen real good to me, Governor Polis. This will follow you not only through the rest of your political career, but through the rest of your life. You will be known as the governor who signed the most restrictive anti Second Amendment, unconstitutional gun ban that this country has ever saw. Um, I totally agree with you, Mr. Newman. What BS? What total BS? Um, Sorry about that. There's been a lot of comments came on that I didn't see. Hey, Miss Sharon, how are y'all? How are you doing? Um, this would equal trying to curb DUI officers' offenses by making the public not on cars. Yeah, that is true, and that is one of the arguments that has been going on ever since people have started to try to ban guns. It's the gun is not the thing. All right. These people talk about health crises. And for one thing, this is not a health crisis. This is a mental health crisis of anything. And the gun is just the tool. I can take a hammer and some nails and I can build a house. I can build a table. I can build a raised bed. I can do all kinds of positive things with that hammer and those nails. Or I can take that hammer and I can go do unspeakable violence with it. It's not the hammer, it's the person holding the hammer. It's not the guns, folks. You've heard this before. Everybody with any common sense at all knows this. It is not the guns, it is the person holding the gun. It is the person using the firearm, the person using the weapon. This is not a gun issue. This is a mental health issue that these people refuse to address. Why? Because they're getting their marching orders from people in Washington, D.C., like Soros. Well, I don't know if Soros is in D.C., but like Bloomberg. They're getting backed by his money. They're getting backed by George Soros's money. This has nothing to do with health. This has everything to do with mental health. Ms. Sharon says, ask him how many legal gun owners have committed these crimes. Criminals don't carry legally. Ugh. Exactly. Criminals don't follow the law. Unstable people don't follow the law. Law abiding citizens, who usually end up as the victims in these things, are the ones that follow the law. Criminals don't care. And what these people don't realize while we're on that subject, and y'all forgive me because if I don't tie things in together today, it's because I'm still just about as upset as I was last night. What these people have not considered, another thing that they haven't even thought about, is the huge black market that is about to open up in this state for firearms. All right. I mean, they think the cartels in Mexico right now that are pumping all the fentanyl into our state, they think that's bad. Wait until they get a hold of the new. Wait till they get their claws into this. Hey, we can sell guns to these people under the table. We can make bukus of money, and nothing's going to stop, folks. This is not over. It is not over by a long shot. And for whatever reason, they decided that this would go into effect on August the 1st of 2026. Now, that gives us that much time to get legal cases going, to get lawsuits going, and there's one already set up and ready to go. However, they cannot file these lawsuits until August the 1st, 2026, because the law doesn't go into effect. And when this law goes into effect, that's when the lawsuits will start. And I can guarantee you one thing, because they refused to take it out, even though I think they might have even realized it was one of the lies that I was talking about that this representative stood up after the testimonies. This was one of the lies she told, that the FOI cards, the little cards you're going to get saying that you're okay to own a semi-automatic weapon with a detachable stock, those have been shot down as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in another state. So we already have a step up on this disgusting law right now. We are just starting this fight. What I would suggest to you right now is if you have been, I don't know, eyeballing that brand new AK 47, if you've been looking real hard at that new AR 15, I suggest you go buy it and go buy it while you can. And that's another thing. What are you supposed to do? Keep the receipt for your firearm on you all the time, even your Shield 9mm? You're supposed to keep the receipt for that on you all the time. Nobody's going to do that. So I've been grandfathered in, you know. Okay, whatever. Miss Sharon says, I don't live in Colorado, but everyone should be paying attention to this in every state. Exactly, Miss Sharon, and I was going to get to that. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it right now. For all of you people out there that are sitting in your nice red state with your Second Amendment rights fully intact, that are saying, what has this got to do with me? Well, how does this even affect me? All right, I already covered this in another video. There were 5 other states that had almost carbon copies of SB 25-003 going through their legislature, while at the same time this was going through in Colorado. New Mexico, believe it or not, New Mexico, who has one of the most liberal governors in this country, besides maybe Jared Polis, the legislature in New Mexico shot the bill down. Bloomberg was furious from every report that I got. But if you're sitting in a nice red state, let's just say Texas, you're the biggest one, so I like picking on you, okay? Love you guys to death, but like picking on you. Wish you would stop sending all your Democrats to Colorado, but hey, they got to go somewhere, I guess. Anyway, you're sitting in Texas, nice red state. You have your Second Amendment rights intact. You better watch Dallas. You better watch Austin. You better watch Houston. You better watch Fort Worth. Because I'm telling you something, if you live in another state right now, I'd like you to do me a favor, and I'll post a link to this if I can get time to do it today. If not, I'll do it soon. I will post a link in the description of this live to a little movie that's out on the internet. It's been out for a long time. It's called The Rocky Mountain Heist. And you will see how Polis and 3 of his cronies, his multi-millionaire cronies, took control of this state's government. I'd like for you to watch that movie, and then I'd like for you to take a good, hard look at your big blue cities in your state, not just Texas, but anywhere else. Take a look at the big blue cities in your state. See what they're doing. See where they're at. Are they sanctuary cities like Denver? Yeah, if they are, you've got warning signs right there, y'all. Yankee says, I don't see this passing the smell test in front of SCOTUS, which means they'll have to go back and piecemeal it later. This won't go anywhere in front of SCOTUS, I don't think. I do not think the Supreme Court will support this in any shape, form, or fashion. At least I'm hoping and praying that they don't. Polis has said that he didn't want to cost Colorado any more money. Well, guess what? By the time the gun rights organizations in this state, by the time they get done with these lawsuits, by the time they get done suing the crap out of this state, it's going to cost money, Jared. It's going to cost this state money. Of course, you're on your way out. And another little thing that, while I'm thinking about that, another little thing that is in their little plan that they've got going on here. What they didn't say in that little statement that I read to you earlier is that the Attorney General of the state of Colorado will have the discretion to add weapons to this law. Guess who's running for Attorney General of the state of Colorado? Miss Griswold, the Secretary of State, the woman who said it was perfectly okay to take Trump off the 2024 ballot in the state of Colorado, the woman who posted the passwords to the Dominion voting machines on a state website, the woman who is up to her neck in all kinds of just shady stuff, is going to run for Attorney General of the state of Colorado. So you see how this is setting up? You see where this is going. And it's like I said, if you don't live in Colorado, you need to pay attention to what's going on in your own state. All right. Oregon, Washington State, California, and either Michigan or Minnesota, I'm not sure which one. I want to say it was Michigan, all have these carbon copies of this law, of this bill, going through their legislature right now. If this catches on, and it will catch on, do not think if you live in a purple state, a blue state, or even a red state that you're immune to this. This is coming to a government near you very soon. It's like the Spartan introduction that I have in a lot of my videos. Colorado, this is where we stand. This is where we fight. And we're not giving up on the fight. We're not. We may seem outnumbered. We may seem beaten right now. We're not beaten. All right. We have the United States Constitution on our side, y'all. And I'm quite sure that there's some things that I actually wanted to get into with this and didn't get to. But, I came on last night and I started a live stream and it was off the cuff, and I sat there and I had the introduction rolling, and I got to thinking to myself, without some kind of warning or without some kind of alert, people are not going to see this until after the fact. And, I was not in a good place to come on and do a live stream last night on the subject because, I was 2 degrees off center, and it just would not have been a good thing for me to do. Miss Sharon, I'm assuming you're talking about Miss Griswold, and you are correct. She should be in prison. There is a lady here that is in prison named Tina Peters, who exposed the Democrats for some of what they were doing with the voting and stuff in this state. And they actually filed charges on her because she mishandled it, and she leaked out information that was, government secrecy and all that stuff, whatever it was. She's in prison right now. And yet Griswold can do the things that she does, and Polis covers for her. When this whole thing about the passwords to the Dominion voting machines came up, Polis sent out an edict. He said, you have 24 hours to fix this. I want it fixed. I want it fixed now. I will offer up the state jet to anybody who can come up here and help us take care of this. They covered for her. And it seems to me that during COVID, Griswold had some other drama going on, and I can't remember what it was. It was something about falsifying death certificates or something like that, but I don't want to say that for real because I'm not sure of my facts on it. But it seems to me like she was caught up in some more drama during COVID. I don't know for sure. But anyway, This is where Colorado sits right now. All right. We've got a governor who promised that he wouldn't do it, that turned around and just lied to us. And if you watch the show that I was talking about a while ago, if you watch that video, and I'm going to warn you right now, it's about 2 hours long, but it goes in depth to how Polis and these other three multimillionaires got inside the government of Colorado and basically took it over. If you don't live in Colorado, you need to watch this video. You need to see the tactics that they will use to overrun your state government. All right. And I keep going back to Texas, and I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you guys. But what I am saying is you need to watch this, and you need to take a good hard look at your big blue cities and how they're operating right now. And you need to use some discernment. You need to sniff out some things of what they are doing. I really don't even know where else to go with this. All right, this was something that, yeah, in the back of our minds, we expected this to happen. You know, common sense, the way things are, the way the Democratic Party is, the way they operate, we expected this to happen. But we held out the hope. We held out hope that Polis would veto it. And, that was silly. To be honest with you, that was silly on our part. To expect this man to, keep his word, do the right thing, uphold the Constitution. Yeah, we thought maybe that might be a chance. He is the governor, and I'll tell you something else before I close this up. I am sick and tired of turning on the news, and all I hear is Trump did this, and Trump did that, and Trump's tariffs are going to drive us, into poverty. That, this, that, the other, everything the man does, it's all over the news. Oh, Elon and Doge. Okay, all right, great. Our attention is drawn to this, and we look at, and people do not pay any attention to what is going on right outside their back door in their own state, because we're too involved, worried about Trump's tariffs. We're too involved, worried about Trump's going to end Social Security and Medicaid. We're too involved, worrying about Elon Musk and his group of guys that he has working for him, getting into all the assets or all the aspects of the government. We're too worried about that. We're not worried enough about what is going on right in front of our faces. And you need to start paying attention to those things, because the conservatives have a majority in the House. They have a majority in the Senate. They have the White House, most of the Supreme Court. They have all that. What do you have in your state? The Democrats realize this, and they also realize that if they can take their state, like they're doing here in Colorado, and they can run roughshod over the Constitution, that they can shred the Second Amendment. I think I think the order has been given to do that. And I think there's a lot of states out there that have had this in the plans for a long time. They've just been waiting on the green light to commence their operation. But you need to pay attention to what is going on in your state and stop focusing so much on what Trump's doing, on what Musk is doing, on what Crockett and AOC and all these people are doing. The media is feeding this to you. In other words, they're distracting you to what's going on right in your hometown. Look, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because, to be quite honest with you, I'm at the point where I'm just disgusted. I'm not done. I'm not through fighting. We're not done. We're not through fighting. But I'm at the point right now to where I made a statement to my inner circle of friends yesterday that I would rather be sitting in a bayou in Mississippi than living in the state of Colorado right now. And I love this state. I really do. If you have never been to Colorado, this state is beautiful. We have some of the most majestic scenery that you have ever beheld before in your life. Purple Mountain's majesty. When he wrote that song, he was talking about Pikes Peak, which I can see from my back door. We have some of the greatest hunting and fishing in the world right here in Colorado. We have skiing. We have whitewater rafting. This state would be a paradise if it wasn't being run into the ground by all the liberal socialists along the I-70 corridor, because it's not just Denver. Okay, it's not just Denver and the surrounding area. It's all these little hippie ski towns along the I-70 corridor. They're backing this crap. And when I moved here in 1993, and I've been here, I guess, 32 years now? When I moved here, this state was wonderful. It was great to live in. It was still purple at the time. If not red, it was still purple at the time. And I have sat here and I have watched. Actually, I haven't watched it because the effect worked. It's like the frog in the pot of boiling water. But I have watched as this state has gradually went completely down the tube. I cannot even put into words how much Colorado has changed since 1993. We are in the middle of a fight, y'all. And we took a blow. We took a big L yesterday. We took a big loss yesterday. But you know what? Colorado was settled by farmers, by ranchers, by trappers, by miners. Colorado embodies, or at least it used to, embodies the spirit of the West. And that spirit is very much alive in this state right now. You go to the Western Slope, you go to places in southern Colorado, and that spirit is still very much alive. The thing about it is, we have to act, and we have to act as one. We have to gather up all those ranchers and farmers and all those people who hate what's going on in this state. And we all have to band together. And we all have to make something work with this, whether it be the lawsuits or whether it be the Supreme Court taking this bill, taking this law down. We need to band together and we need to support that. Look, y'all, I have got to go. I have got to start getting ready for work. And I know that I rambled on in this video and probably didn't make a whole lot of sense because I didn't have a very good night last night, didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I tried to go over what I was going to say to you good folks in the video today, and I hope that something of what I said, even if you don't live in Colorado, I hope that some of what I said makes some sense to you and you start paying attention, or you're going to end up in the same place that Colorado's in right now, because this is like a virus, and once it takes hold, it will spread, and I can guarantee that. But, you know, Prepper Nation had its Beaverines, Big Timber Lodge, Wolverines. Well, you shady folks need to join in with all these people. Get behind some Second Amendment organizations and support them any way you can. Doesn't have to be money, but support them any way that you can. And for all of you out there that are members of the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners Association, For all of you guys out there that are part of the NRA, and believe it or not, the NRA has actually kind of revitalized itself a little bit when it comes to this. But, you know, if you're one of these organizations, I and this channel, and most of my subscribers, I hope, back you 100% in what you're doing. Keep up the fight. I'm going to fight along right beside you. Look, y'all, till the next time, take care of yourselves. God bless you. And, hey, stay shady, y'all, and keep fighting.